All right, everybody, we are back in the studio and we are ready to bring you another great video. Guys, we're going to be talking to Jackal Protocol today. I'm super excited to finally get to talk to them live on stream and check out what they're doing. Before I do, I got to give a humongous channel sponsor shout out to our sponsors. That is Kajira Network. If you guys don't know about Kajira.network, you definitely should, especially if you're a cosmonaut. If you're a cosmonaut, you don't know about Kajira.network. I don't know. I don't know if you could call yourself a cosmonaut. I'm gonna be real, guys. We really do appreciate their support. They help us bring out content to you guys each and every time that we go live. So support the people who are supporting you. Check out Kajira.network, guys. It is the one place that if you are bored, I'm telling you, if you are bored, you can definitely check them out. It is the blockchain for people who are looking for busyness. You could do so many things on the platform, guys. You can play around on Fin, on Orca. You can basically find whatever little scratch or little itch that you need to scratch on Kajira.network. So definitely check them out, guys. But with no further delay, I do want to introduce you guys to Patrick, who is part of the Jackal protocol. Let me actually bring him up here and see, make sure everything's going well. Patrick, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, Tank. Thanks for having me. It's really great to be here. It's a long time coming for this one, I think.
It is. It really is. I was actually, while I was saying that little intro, I couldn't help but think in the back of my mind, like, it's been a long time coming. This has been a workup for a while now.
It's
But
been a bit.
how's your day going?
My day's going good. I apologize for my background. I'm traveling right now, actually. So
Uh,
I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada for a wedding, believe it or not.
oh, nice. Dude,
Yeah.
I've been to Canada a few times. Absolutely love it. I swear it's the nice. I have this story, and I promise you guys I won't veer off too much. I have this story of when I went up to Canada. I've been there. I used to work. I used to have to go up there for professionally for work. But I've been up there twice before with my family, and even the thugs. And I swear they were legit gang member thugs. We were on the road in a rental car, and I don't
Oh
know
my
exactly
goodness.
where we were, but they were in the middle of the street, sagging their pants, gang members, flashing colors and all this stuff. And we were like, I wasn't gonna aggravate them, but so I was like, just kind of slowly, inching up. And they turned around and noticed me, and I was thinking, oh no, this is the moment. And they were so nice. They were like, excuse me. They moved out their way. They were apologizing, and like they were full on gang members. And I was going, what is going on? So Canada, I absolutely love Canada. Nicest people in the whole wide world. I hope you're having a lot of fun up there. But yeah, that's my story about Canada when I go up there.
No, it's on brand. It's on brand, that's for sure.
Okay, yeah, I say it all the time, and I'm like, that's my Canada story. Anyway, let's actually jump on into it because
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a bunch that you can kind of inform us and let us know what's going on with Jackal. But before we do, for the people that may not know about Jackal, may not know about you, could you take a moment and explain to us who you are, where you've come from, and how you found yourself in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Patrick. I'm one of the co-founders of the Jackal Protocol, where we started building this thing in November of 2021. The reason we started building something as crazy as Jackal Protocol is we wanted like a digital forensics tool for court use. Actually, before we were doing this, we were working in digital forensics and investigations for law firms and corporations, a lot on cryptocurrency thefts and frauds, actually. So we were scratching our own needs specifically for the ability to have like really high security posture around data. And one thing leads to another, and then we're end up building an entire public cloud infrastructure running on blockchain and Tendermint consensus and all that good stuff. So that's kind of the short version. We can
I'm
unpack
kind
it a
of
little bit.
curious though. I gotta ask you,
Yeah.
like, because I don't think I even do that. So when was the aha moment where you were like, wait a minute, like what was it that you were doing at that time that made you go, this could be so much more, we should be expanding into so much more? Like,
Yeah, so it really started with the need that we needed was when you capture a piece of digital evidence. Let's talk about physical evidence first, right? So With physical evidence, is that, hey, you take the gun, you put it in the bag, and then you sign off on the bag saying, I have it, and then I hand it to Tank, and Tank signs off on the bag, and then you
Right.
have it, right? So that's kind of how chain of custody would work with physical evidence. When it comes to digital evidence, there's some e-discovery tools and there's some things along those lines, but it would be more often than not, you'd get to court, and then the actual piece of digital evidence that you have was created yesterday and was a copy of a copy, and you're working on teams, so you're sending files all around, and you lose chain of custody. So our thought
Oh,
process was,
interesting.
well, do you know what? Blockchain works pretty good for things on these lines. So it was to build a blockchain e-discovery tool for court was the original idea. And then we realized pretty quickly that it actually applies to a lot more applications than just digital forensics and evidence. It actually works as a self-custodial cloud environment where only the end user has access to their data, kind of where the clean forensic environment kind of shifted, and we kind of had that aha moment where this is a little bit bigger than just digital evidence. This is actually self-custodial ownership of data in a cloud environment that you wouldn't get traditionally with Google or Amazon or Alibaba Cloud, depending on where you are in the world.
That's such a cool story. Like real world aha moments where it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's
it's
all. That's
interesting. Yeah.
that is all. You know, my wife, she's a doctor, but she, I think secretly down deep down inside, she watches what is it? Oh gosh, NCIS. Um,
Okay.
and she absolutely loves the forensic scientist there. She like
Mm.
secretly wants to be Allie or whatever her name is. And so like the all I know about
Yeah.
that process is from watching that show with her. But it sounds very, very interesting. It makes total sense, right? You know, I'm a realtor, professionally. I'm a retired realtor now. And so like I always like kind of just drawn the two together from like real estate transactions and going, this makes absolute sense. But I didn't even think about it as far as like evidences. And I watch that show all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, my girlfriend's a realtor as well, so I'm
On
really familiar with that process. And I always think about different ways that we can apply this technology to well, from leasing agreements down to deeds
Mhm.
of houses, down to actually having like a cryptographic signature of like the DocuSign document or things along those
Yeah,
lines. There's all kinds of different applications. It's
I
just
really do think it's only a matter of time. Like it's only a matter of
yeah,
time. But
yeah.
anyway,
It
that's
makes so
super
much
interesting
sense.
story. Yeah, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. Um, super interesting story. Now that we kind of know the the backstory of yourself and Jackal, why don't you tell us a little bit more about directly, if people don't know about Jackal Protocol, what is Jackal?
Yeah, so if you want to unpack it as quickly as possible, it's two peer-to-peer networks, right? So a blockchain is usually one peer-to-peer network where you have the validators that we talk about. Is these are validators, and they'll come to consensus, and they make blocks that way.
Mm,
Then there's on Jackal, there's two peer-to-peer networks, which makes just a little bit different than most blockchains, where we have one is the validators and the other is storage providers. So we have two of them baked into this blockchain where the validators are in charge of minting new tokens, for example. They're in charge of who has access to what data, the file trees, the storage deals themselves, all that good stuff. And then the storage providers are in charge of actually holding the encrypted data on behalf of the user. And then if they unplug their machine, the validators will realize, and then they'll move data around, and it's all kind of managed through the validator set. But we have two peer-to-peer networks, which makes it a little bit different.
mm.
Outside of that, when you want to distill it down a little bit more, it's from a user's perspective, it's just kind of like a Google Cloud or a Dropbox. We are just an L1 infrastructure layer where we have data storage, which is pretty special. But when you unpack to where we are right now, we have different apps where it's perpetual storage for publishing data forever is one of them called Radiant that's coming soon. We have Byte Bunker, which is like backups for things like your QuickBooks environment or backups for an Airtable environment, where it's kind of like a microservice for that kind of stuff. We
Mhm.
have the Jackal dashboard, which is just kind of like a Dropbox from that standpoint. A little bit
It's
more
funny
like
you
a
say that
business
because when I
customer.
look
Yeah.
at it, I've always thought of Dropbox too. Like, so I'm glad you're actually saying
Yeah.
that because that makes me feel like I'm not an idiot. I'll be very
Yeah.
honest. I was telling Joe, I see him in the chat, and I was telling him yesterday during our NFT Nashville meeting. I was telling him I'm kind of nervous because like Jackal actually makes a lot of sense, and so when things actually make a lot of sense, I feel like I'm so used to things not making sense in this space that like it flies over my head. I'm going,
Makes
and I
too
was
much
like,
sense,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was telling Joe, I'm like, I'm kind of nervous, man. I feel like they're so legit that it's making me nervous. But I'm glad you said it. So it's like a Dropbox because that's what I that's what I
Yeah.
related to. Joe's
Well,
laughing at me. I'm being real.
You can break it down this way, right? So we built an infrastructure. So we spent about almost 2 years now just building an infrastructure. And the first thing that we threw on the infrastructure was a Dropbox like dashboard, for
Mhm.
example, right? It is like, okay, how can we make this the importance of this infrastructure resonate? Or just like slap a Dropbox on it. So that was the first thing we did. But now a lot of our work is doing working on APIs, for example. So for larger data sets, that's one thing. We're also working on like microservices backups I was talking about earlier. There's some people that are building applications on top of Jackal that aren't us as well, which is interesting.
Yep.
The guys,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say
y-
later on. Let's actually. I would love to actually, because that's one of my questions, is what is being built on top.
mhm.
But we can save that for when you're when
Yeah,
later on.
well, if you click apps there,
Mhm.
it'll take you to pretty much everything that we have in development right now. So right now, the only thing that's live on mainnet is the Jackal Cloud product.
Mhm.
So that's there, but everything else is APIs and perpetual storage is one of them. Another thing that we have is um, there's people building a product called the Muse actually, which is like a conferencing application that takes the video file afterwards and throws it on Jackal. There's all kinds of cool stuff that's being built that we're really excited about. But we've only really been live on mainnet for a little period of time now with storage actually functioning. So
Yeah, you
it's been a
guys.
long time coming.
Yeah, you guys definitely. I don't know if you want to get into the weeds of that. Uh, I've always kind of wanted to pick your brain about this. Oh God bless. How do I say this? How do I
The
say
launch
this
of the Jackal
eloquently?
protocol.
Yeah. So, um, tell it like tell us what Obviously, you guys were first launching. And correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while, so I might actually get some of this wrong. But you guys were
The-
originally trying to launch on the Secret Network, correct?
yes,
Like,
yes.
walk me through what happened and what was the struggles, and then why the pivot, why the changes, and or what have changed for the people that might not know or need a refresher like myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can talk about how Jackal was created. So we started with this e-discovery tool that was built on Polygon actually originally is where we started.
Oh.
So we built that, and then we were saying, okay, we actually need a storage layer for this. So we started building the storage layer, and we were thinking, okay, what is the path of least resistance to make a storage product like Jackal? So we said, okay, we're going to lend security and privacy from the Secret Network, and we're going to lend cold storage from Filecoin. So we were going to
Oh
build an
yes,
app
right.
on Secret. We are going to build like a peer-to-peer network in between that would make it fast and speedy and all that good stuff. And then we were going to use Filecoin for archiving was the
Mhm.
original idea. We hit a bunch of bottlenecks, specifically with Filecoin. It was taking us 24 hours to get our files back, which is great for like archives and their primary use case, but it's not really great for something like we were looking to build, where we need kind of like the speed aspect
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So we decided to cut Filecoin out of the tech stack, and then we were building a Secret Network. Secret Network's really great. They try really hard. They have struggle a little bit with the hardware that they have to use,
Mhm.
but outside of that, they have generic privacy for the entire protocol that they have, and the gas fees for a product like Jackal, where you have to sign a lot of transactions for it to function, not really great for the secret network use case. So that's kind of not really ideal for us there. So we sacrificed general privacy for specific privacy. So we sacrificed your token balances being private, and we sacrificed how much data storage you've purchased being private
Mhm.
in exchange for everything else from your files are private, your file tree entries are private, who you share files with, they're all private. Um, so we sacrificed general privacy for specific privacy for a little bit of a speed boost, and we got to build an entire L1 blockchain for the just purpose of data storage, really. So it's that's kind of how we got to this point. It was just kind of it was just trying to make the best product possible is kind of how we got to this point.
Right, and learning while you build. Apologies, by the way. I'm playing around with the setups here. I'm always trying to play around with like which one's the best when I'm trying to showcase things, and I
Yeah,
find myself annoying myself as I switch things back and forth. Um, but I've watched the struggle. I've been kind of in tune with the journey from way back then. I didn't even
yeah.
know the original origins of it. I thought it literally came from or your origins were in Secret. So that's super interesting, even for myself. But I've been very much engaged since Secret, and I know I'm trying to be as political as I could possibly can be with the struggles and learning things as you develop. It's
Yeah.
definitely it's real, right? Like it's really real. We're seeing a lot of teams and protocols learn as they go, and thankfully, I feel like personally that you guys have always done your best to be responsive and a lot of times not even just reactive, but forthcoming beforehand. I'm trying to look for the right word.
Mm,
But I think you guys have done a very good job in doing what you guys need to do to grow and to evolve as things changed and as you guys realized that you guys needed, maybe to drop Filecoin or for to boost things for speed's sake and stuff like that. So I'm really really happy that you guys are where you are, even though it's been a long grind. With that being said, though, I know you said earlier you have all these things going on. What is your like I'm trying to say, what do you have the most pride of, right? Like what are you most happy about your current position and what are you most anticipating in a near future for yourself and the protocol?
yeah, well, we're proud that it works,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you get to this point, right, when the beautiful thing about this blockchain technology is it's infinite white space, right? So you can just show up and you can just build anything, which is
Mhm,
really beautiful in that own sense. But Jackal is a really ambitious project from the start, where you're trying to slap all these. If you look at the internet as a whole, it's just like this big ball of yarn to begin with, right? And then you're slapping other technologies on top of that, which are just more balls of yarn. So it's kind of very similar with Cosmos, right? And
mhm,
for us to enter an ecosystem that we had no business building in traditionally, because we weren't blockchain engineers to begin with, we grew our team to 14 people from that point to now, and just creating a product and able to launch the product. Obviously, it took us a long time. We built as an L2, then we had to build as an L1, and we scrapped the protocol a few times to get to the point where it is right now. But we're proud that we were able to kind of get to this point, have a working product, have something that's very, very unique, and something that's not a copy paste of anything else in the space, right? That's the other thing that's really interesting that I think from Jackal is you have Filecoin that does is like a storage marketplace for archives. You have Arweave that's like perpetual storage, like forever storage on their protocol. And then you have Jackal, which is like a hot storage Dropbox like product that are all really different. And we're happy to get to this point. What I'm excited for, the next stage for us is growth and scale and
mhm.
getting as many unique terabytes onto the network as possible. Because if you want to look at how the incentives protocol like this, you need to get as many unique terabytes onto the system as possible, and that's where our really big focus is. So
So
whether that's
I
users
do,
that are,
yeah, I was going to say, I do want to really
yeah,
dive into the scaling discussion. Before I do see some questions in there, and I definitely want to hit them before I actually forget because I do that quite often. I am smart. I love the names, by the way. I'm like Ron Burgundy, guys. Don't do this to me. I will read what's on the teleprompter. So if you ever want to troll me, that I'm just gonna put it out there and put my own target on my back.
yeah,
That's how you're gonna get me. But he says, so you're 100% your own protocol, correct?
yeah, everything on the Jackal protocol, other than like Tendermint and the Cosmos SDK, is our own technology. So we have special modules. Our storage network is all ours. Everything from that standpoint is 100% our own L1 protocol.
Yeah, I see. And Joe says, I'm just reading the comments now. The other issue is that some products have no value accrual, so they become public
Mm,
goods. Yeah, that's yeah. To qualify for gosh, I need my glasses too. Constant community pool funding. Yeah, I hear you, Joe. I really do, and thank you, Beast. I really do appreciate that. Christian also says, very interesting. Who am I? I'm just a talking head, Christian. I'm really just some guy on the internet that thinks everything is interesting, and that's me. But no, I appreciate it, guys. If you guys have any further questions, just drop them in the chat, and if you see them too, Patrick, go ahead and just answer them whenever. But
yeah.
let's get back to the scaling thing. So, what does that look like? Like, how does that happen for Jackal? What steps are you guys taking in ensuring that that does happen?
Yeah, so primarily, so my job has shifted from full-time project manager to full-time sales guy basically recently, and I have another individual that worked with alongside me. His name's Jaden, who's really great at what he does. So what our goal is for the last 3 weeks is getting, right now we have 13 companies that are looking to integrate with us over the next
Mm,
few weeks. So we're looking to get as many unique terabytes on the network as possible, right? So we have the Dropbox products for individuals, but to be honest, although we love our community, we love the individuals using a product like this, they don't really have that much data to store.
Yeah.
So you only have like so many memes that you want to store on the
Yeah.
Jackal protocol before we need to kind of move to more of a B2B product. So Jackal's a little bit more, from a business perspective, it's a little bit more aligned with a product like Chainlink, for example,
Mhm.
where it's primarily a business in the crypto space or outside the crypto space for data storage, really. So right now, a lot of the early adopters of our protocol are people that are storing like chain state data or NFT marketplaces, for example, looking to protect all their files for because the NFTs aren't actually stored on chain. It's like a pointer to the NFT through the IPFS link.
Right.
So
Right. A
making
lot of
sure
people
that
don't know
those,
that actually. It's
yeah,
NFT. A lot of
that's
NFT people don't know that at all.
it's really interesting actually, because in the bear market, people's NFTs just go missing,
Yeah.
because pretty much what where you store an NFT, you want to pin it. Everyone thinks like we're going to do IPFS storage.
Hmm.
That usually means IPFS isn't like a storage layer; it's a discovery layer. So that
Hmm.
means that you can index by content and you can go and find something very easily. But it still needs to be stored somewhere. So when you use something like a pinata or a NFT.storage type product, it's usually pinned to an Amazon server, and then that's where it's accessible from.
Yeah.
But
I am smart just says Amazon owns all our NFTs, guys.
yeah,
Basically.
Amazon or Microsoft Azure or Alibaba Cloud, depending on where you are in the world, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of how this works, right? But if someone stops paying for that Amazon server, your NFT disappears, which isn't good, especially in the bear
I,
market where
I feel like
people.
everybody watching and that's watching later, it's they all just did the same thing I just did as an NFT connoisseur. I love NFTs. I literally, when you said that, like I literally went, that's
Yeah, yeah. Well,
weird.
so because you can't actually store a file on chain. Well, you can. It'll just be really expensive,
Right.
right? So you can't actually fit an entire a blockchain can house about like a kilobyte of data before it gets like not scalable. So that's like about the size of a tweet,
Yeah.
that you can fit really on chain. After that, you need to find a place that you can store these files. But what is on chain is the IPFS CID or FID link. So it says this NFT token is linked with this file on IPFS, but someone always still has to store it, right? So
So I'm gonna say something really stupid because I'm known to do that. Humor me because it might be really stupid. But should we now, guys, that love Stargaze, request funds from the community? Like, should we not be put? Tell me, Stargaze is not doing this with you. I feel like there's a lot of Stargaze people that collect here, that's gonna watch this and they're like, for God's sakes, we need to be using Jackal.
yeah, well, I don't like to comment on deals before they're closed, right?
Oh, look
So
at you. Okay, look at that.
I don't really want to say that like a specific NFT marketplace is using the Jackal protocol, but we are currently speaking with every meaningful company in Cosmos that stores off-chain data.
Awesome. Well,
So
that's good to know.
yeah, no, we know the guys over there is Shane and Ruan and Jorge and all those guys. So yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Because I was gonna dare ask if you could let us know, but you've already said that you're not going to speak about deals that are not done yet. Which ones you're talking to? So
yeah.
I'm
Well,
always trying to
there's
fish that alpha.
yeah. Well, we're really we've spoken with every NFT marketplace in the Cosmos thus far, and right now we're in the process of starting with a backup first.
Mhm.
So we want to take everything that they have right now and scrape it, and then just put it on Jackal for safekeeping in the event that something, God forbid, something happens.
So
Um, so that's the first product. It's really just a backup, and then you start to move into more of an active cloud environment as it's obviously new technology, right? So from other people's perspective, you want to make sure that you take this incrementally as well.
okay, I don't know, Christian. That's a good question that maybe we should be asking after to other people who like who stores our NFTs right now. Um,
Yeah,
the things that make you go
that's a good
hmm,
question.
right?
That's a good question. Well, usually the NFT marketplace doesn't want a bad user experience. So very often the NFT marketplace actually has we call them shadow servers,
Uh-huh.
where they just have like a backup of everything, but those get really expensive and it cuts into their overhead as well,
Well, that's
right?
what I was
So
gonna
it
ask. When does that become too much financially and like,
yeah. So some of the larger, you have to think about it this way. So like, if you want to store, let's say, a terabyte of data storage, so that's a lot of NFTs, right? That's
uh-huh.
that's a if you want like a big bucket of NFTs and you want to store that, storing it's one thing, but the next thing that's really expensive is the egress and egress charges. So every time you access that from an active cloud environment, it's also really expensive. So it gets really, really expensive really quick. Like some of these NFT marketplaces are doing like terabytes of egress a day, right? So they're serving up photos terabytes at a time every single day, and that gets that's about 50% of the storage budget. But I feel like I'm just going down different rabbit holes here
No, and that's
about
I
storage.
said
Yeah,
it earlier, didn't I? I said I knew that I have a million questions, and this conversation has been long overdue. I know for a fact the Jackal conversation for Jackal Protocol, what you guys are providing is you said it. It's so unique and it's so needed, and it fits so many different. It has so many different product market fits, not just for this industry, but then outside as well. That I'm
yeah,
sure that we could find ourselves going down many different rabbit holes. I do have two, and hopefully I didn't forget already while you were speaking. NFTs obviously seems like the low hanging fruit, especially in the crypto landscape, as far as like using the Jackal protocol or whatnot. But outside of NFTs, what's the next product market fit? Like, what would be the next target to capture in your?
that's a good question. So we've actually, while we were building, we were out interviewing like all kinds of different industries, right?
Mhm.
So we were out trying to figure out where is the best place for Jackal to land for that kind of breakthrough use case. Usually in Web 2 would be like where all the data is. One is CCTV camera footage, believe it or not, which is a very, very good use case where the cameras are getting a lot better, but the storage prices are increasing when you move from 4K to 8K cameras, for example.
Mhm.
Your storage costs balloon, and you have all the storage that you have to usually hold on for 30 days by legislation often. So that's an interesting use case right there, or you want to hold on to it in perpetuity and you need like a cheaper storage solution with a high security posture. Jacko's great for that. Other use cases is I like predominantly like auxiliary backups and backups of other instances. So let's a use case that we're working on right now is actually integrating Jackal into products like Airtable or MailChimp or QuickBooks or Shopify, for example, and having a backup suite on those applications that moves data onto Jackal. They have to obviously pay with credit card and do all that stuff, but it brings data into the network, which is a big focus.
Right.
Those are good use cases. Outside of that, the thing that makes Jackal very, very special is actually this is something that's pretty crazy is it's the only public cloud environment where you don't have a middleman because we can't access any of your data on Jackal even if we wanted to because we don't have your private key. So
Mhm.
you want to think about peer-to-peer transfer of data between two parties. That's really, really interesting for all kinds of use cases, whether it's a military use case, for example, where you want to move a petabyte of data, but you don't trust the intermediaries in the middle,
Yeah.
where you can't use SharePoint or you can't use Google Cloud. So what they do right now is they put servers on planes. Jackal is a great use case if you want to peer-to-peer send data or mergers and acquisitions for data rooms is a good example as well, where you want to give another party access without introducing other attack vectors related to your data set.
This
So
I like what you're saying. Like again, smooth brain. I'm going to say something maybe stupid, but like when you were explaining all this, and then when I was looking at this originally, like I immediately went into because my wife's a doctor. Obviously, when
mhm,
I'm wearing the scrubs, I work in the lab when I
yeah,
needed when I'm needed. Um, but like to me, this just goes to healthcare, and like that, I feel like if you could find a way to work in Jackal with the need, for data sharing information and access to it's a perfect fit if you can find a way into whatever healthcare.
yeah. Well, there's something that's interesting about healthcare. It's HIPAA compliance is where we start to get snagged up a little bit.
Right.
So technically, Jackal is a lot more secure than anything on the market right
That's
now
what I'm
because
thinking. And I'm
no
like,
no
wait,
one
how are
can
you guys getting
access it.
snagged? Because this seems like a no brainer
Yeah,
in that
absolutely.
regards.
It's about geographical regions
Mm,
is an interesting piece, right? So you need to kind of have specific. I'm not entirely sure about HIPAA on this, but I do know about there's specific laws when we're working with another company we're trying to get a deal with. Is they needed all the data to be within the borders of a specific geographical region. So all the
interesting.
data has to be within the borders of Canada, for example, for it to apply for this specific intense use case, for
That would
example,
be damn
right?
near impossible, though, wouldn't it? Like,
So it's a technological problem. It's a when, not really an if. When we'll be able to do something like that, we would have to
Ah,
build subnets, for example, where say, okay, I have data stored here, and I only wanted to touch these providers that are like Jackal Plus, like they choose the KYC. Maybe we have to kind of ride the line of what's possible, so we can serve a use case like that. But we
gotcha.
don't want to jeopardize the Wild West public version of Jackal at the same time. So you have to make sure that you do these very carefully and
But
incrementally.
it's definitely something like you said, not if, but when, like down the
Yes.
okay, okay. Because that
Yeah.
just seems like the
It's a no-brainer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I had something else, and like I said, million questions. I already forgot one of them. I see some of them in the chat. Cheddar's asking, Jocko working with Akash.
Yeah. So I know Greg actually. We spoke in not it was the consensus not this year but last year in Texas actually. Greg's great, and I also speak with Boss quite a bit too. So Jocko and Akash, we work really well together in the sense of if you want to store like you want compute and storage working together, you could host like a dynamic website on Jackal, which is just
Mm.
crazy if you want to think about things like that, where you have a fully
Yeah,
decentralized website. That's pretty fascinating stuff. So yeah, Jackal can work with the cache quite well in the sense you want to create an app or you want a storage network and a compute network working together. They're really complementary. We're not competitors. I know that's a common question that we get asked because we both do cloud things, but
yeah. I
we're
think
not.
somebody sent me a message earlier, and they were like, "Ask them if they're competitors. They didn't consider themselves
Yeah,
competitors." Uh,
not really at all. Like they do a little bit of storage, but they don't not like this. It's very different use cases.
Gotcha. I saw earlier, and I forgive me, guys, if I miss some questions. I'm like really focused on the conversation, and sometimes I lose them. But I think somebody had asked earlier about the validator lineup and like what that looks like. I think the question was, how many validators are you looking for? Yeah.
Validators. So Jackal has 100 validators in the code. The way that it's programmed right now, it's we have a 100 validator set.
Mhm.
Right now we have 97 validators, so pretty much anyone can hop in the chat right now. I know some went down and didn't come back online, but that's just being a validator in 2023 right now.
Yeah, it changes
It,
every
yeah,
day.
we validate a few networks. We validate Cache, we validate Evmos, Archway, and I'm probably missing one. Secret Network are the ones that we validate, and it's not an easy business in 2023. That's for sure.
No, it's
But yeah, if you
definitely
want to
not.
validate, please hop on.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here trying to. I connected my wallet. I was just making sure I was doing that offline here. But yeah, it's. I'm on the Jackal
You're gonna have to buy storage. That's
dashboard.
the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta send you some tokens first.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, it's been so
Oh
long. I
no.
forgot.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on one second. Let me see if I. So yeah,
Yes.
there we go.
So you can stake on the Jackal dashboard. Obviously, it's still a pretty rough UI, but it's getting better day over day.
Right, right. Um, Let me see here. Subnext work for Jackal AI. Boom, dynamic server. I know I missed. I'm trying to look for another question that I saw earlier, and I can't see it now.
There's probably a few of them.
Yeah, it's okay.
Download all your recipes, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Um, so where we covered expanding growth.
Hmm.
What can we do as cosmonauts, as community members, to help spread the, because I think what Jackal's doing is extremely important. And matter of fact, let me actually stop staring at my screen so people can see the seriousness in my face. I think it's extremely important, right? If you actually want to be able to like see your NFTs here, like I always say this. I have this example. I don't know if you guys know in Nashville. I think it was a couple of years ago. It was like 2 years ago or whatever. We actually had in the heart of Nashville, we had an explosion. We had an explosion that happened, and it shut down the
Hmm.
net here. It was from a guy that just blew up his RV. He drove it right down in downtown Nashville, blew up his RV, and there was a data center, and all of the region around us was just down. Right, things like that happen. Right, you don't want to think about that kind of stuff, but like mishaps happen. catastrophes happens, attacks happen all the time. Maybe somebody just doesn't pay for the service and can't access our NFT. Somebody, we were talking about that earlier, right? Like,
Yeah, or
you
they
know,
forget
one,
they cancel their credit card gets expires or something like that.
yeah,
Like anything can happen. It's
anything can
crazy.
happen, right?
It's
So I think having like Jackal uh, out there and getting more exposure is extremely important. I think you guys are providing several humongous use cases, not just for our space, but for the greater landscape. What can we do as cosmonauts to get exposure for you guys? Like, what would, yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's three things, right? So Jackal, if you want to look at the incentive, it's a multi-sided market from a protocol tokenomics standpoint, right? So there's the storage providers who provide storage, they get incentivized to do so. There's the validators that make sure everyone has the right storage and who has what storage at what time and who has access to what files and all that good stuff. I literally have chickens across the
I
street,
was
so I don't
saying,
know if
what
you
the
can hear
hell was
that.
that?
Yeah, I'm in an Airbnb right now with literal chickens across the street.
Canada, man. They're probably
It's
the most
Canada.
polite chickens ever, too.
They're outside the chicken coop. They're just hanging out on the road, and no one's run them over yet. So it's interesting. Well, that's why I
Hilarious.
crossed. But yeah, there's those are the two things that are interesting.
That's fine.
But so you can become a storage provider. You want to provide storage to the network. That's always great. Jackal needs unique storage space available for the protocol to work, obviously. So that's very important. Right now, we have way more storage than is actually demanded. So this is where we get to the next point: is if you have a business that you know that needs to have archives or backups or auxiliary backups or just redundancy to make sure that all data is safe. Jackal is a really interesting use case at a very attractive price point. That
Mm.
is something that if you have any businesses or if you're just looking to store your NFTs, if you're a creator and you want to store your NFTs on the Jackal protocol, it's extremely cheap. So we're looking at $8 a month per terabyte, which is about 80% cheaper than anything else on the market.
Yeah, and I've
Um,
got them up here for the billing. Hopefully, this is correct. So the 1 terabyte's $8, five is 40, a
yeah,
100, which is insane, would be $800. And pretty sure you could cover just about anything you need with that.
yeah. There's a lot of businesses don't even need 100 terabytes.
Yeah,
It's usually like for 1 terabyte. I don't even know what my laptop has, but I pretty much only need a terabyte if I'm being honest with my life. I only have 500 gigs on my laptop, and
yeah,
so it's 1 terabyte's obviously the good thing to go for most end users, but where Jackal needs to be as a business is we really focus on the B2B use cases. So if you have any large data sets that needs to be put somewhere as an auxiliary backup, or if your data center floods, or we were speaking with a company the other day where the data center literally caught on fire.
oh my
Use
gosh.
cases like that where you want to have built-in redundancy, Jackal is a great redundancy option. So from the protocol directly, if you want to pay with tokens, you don't get the tax write-offs and all that good stuff. So that's
Mhm.
$8 a month per terabyte. We also have something called Stratus. It's on. I don't know if I can give you this, but this is an API that's right now on testnet. I have no way to. Oh, we do have a private chat here that no one knows
I think
about.
you can share your screen if you'd like. If you'd like to share your screen.
Oh,
Oh, wait,
perfect,
here, hold on a second.
perfect.
Maybe I can bring it up as well.
I think I got it right here. This might work.
There we go.
Can
Yeah,
you see this?
there we
Perfect.
go.
So this is our next product that's coming out very soon, where it's just copy and paste and you get decentralized storage, which is pretty special. Pricing, we haven't really decided how we're going to do this yet, but it's a little bit more expensive because we have to run servers in between as middleware. But for something like this, it's just pay with credit card. You throw files in the system, it gets stored on Jackal for all that good stuff. So what we're doing right now is we built the infrastructure, we built the direct product if you want to pay with tokens and you have that option. Now it's about building those Web 2.5 bridges so we can actually bring value to legacy markets as well. So this is another product that's coming pretty quick. Right now it's on
Awesome.
testnet. So if you want an API key and you're a developer or a nerd like us, just email stratus@jackalabs.io and we'll send you an API key so you can play around with it as well.
Awesome. Awesome. I see a couple of questions here. Chicken Taco says a phone app, or I
Oh
guess
yeah.
comments, a phone app for photos would be dope. It really would be dope. And then Beto said, when plans for regular people who want an alternative to Google storage?
Yeah, so right now you can use the Jackal dashboard directly. If you want to actually have like a decentralized data storage product directly on chain, you want to use your wallet and all that good stuff. Jackal Cloud is the place to be, and that's going to get 1% better day over day as that's their goal. But other things, replacing iCloud, having an iPhone app for photos. Yeah, that's something that I always run into, and it's definitely a need where you run out of storage on your iPhone. They try to extort you for
Oh, I've been getting extorted
um,
for freaking years, bro. So
yeah,
someone help me.
it's my girlfriend refuses to update her phone because she doesn't have enough space to download the update, but she doesn't want
Yeah.
to delete any photos. So she's stuck in this limbo where she's like running on software from 4 years ago. But
She
it's
like planted her flag. She's like, I'm not doing
yeah,
it.
she's like, I'm not paying for more iCloud. She's like, you own a storage company, like why can't we just throw it all at Jackal? I was like, well, we're working on it. We're gonna get
For
there.
real though, she's asking the honest question though, right?
Yeah,
Email
yeah.
you.
It's
Cheddar
getting the
says he's gonna
mobile.
email you every day.
Yeah, exactly. Or it pops up on your computer and you can't close it for some reason. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, so iPhone app, that's something that one of our developers has been working on the side as a side project as well to get Jackal on iPhone so you can have access to storage that way. It would probably be through the API rather than because we don't have mobile wallet capability until Leap is pretty close to actually getting us that ability where you can kind of use in-app browser to use Jackal.
yeah.
So once we get that going, then you could use Jackal with tokens directly from iPhone. But if you wanted to kind of have like this Web 2.5 type product, we could get that up and running pretty quick.
I feel like I do have two before I forget.
Yeah.
And I know obviously Jacko's looking for those bigger data
Mhm.
needs for bigger companies and whatnot. Obviously, I can only speak as a small fry. I'm a small fry. I have a small collection myself. I feel like when you said earlier that NFT provider, like if you have an NFT project and stuff like, I feel like this is just a really good way to reinvest back into your community as an NFT collection or somebody that's I don't know what term people want to call themselves, an artist or
Yeah.
provider, whatever it is. Like I feel like this is a really cool, inexpensive, I would think, way to like give an added feature to everybody that owns your NFT, like bad kids. Like if they just came over and just, I don't know what. Forgive me again. Was it $8 a month for a terabyte or?
Per terabyte. So it's like a prepaid from the protocol level right now. It's like a prepaid storage plan until we figured a way to actually have auto approved transactions.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're pretty much saying if you want to store 1 gigabyte of storage for 200 years, for example, it's like $25. And we have a product called Radiant that's going to be coming up pretty soon, where it's just perpetual storage forever.
yeah.
You
That
just
sounds like
pay
a
once,
deal.
and then you set it and forget it. But yeah, so it's $8 a month per terabyte from the protocol level. And the reason why we wanted to structure it like that rather than being a marketplace is businesses need to make informed decisions in perpetuity, so they can't really have
Mhm.
like a fluctuating storage cost,
Yeah, it can't
and
be a roller coaster.
it becomes really difficult. So for you to be able to make informed business decisions for a long period of time, because usually if you want to do an enterprise deal, you're looking like a 4 year term or 4 year deal cycle.
Mhm.
So if you start using Jackal and then like the storage cost fluctuates quite a bit. So we peg it to $8 a month per terabyte using an Oracle.
Okay.
So that's what it is right now. So if you want to purchase a year storage, it's $8 a month. You have to remember to renew it though. So
Yeah, but
that's what you
again,
have
I
to do.
still feel like that's speaking to other community members who may have collections as well. Like I really do. I feel like nowadays, especially for NFT projects, everybody's trying to fight for this like utility
Mm,
conversation and like all these other things and how do you give back to your supporters and your community? Like I feel like protecting them uh is definitely one of the like no brainers. Like eight
yeah.
dollars, come on, that should be something that you
Yeah,
do.
that's a good one. Also, it's interesting because we start to talk about we're getting really nerdy here with interchain accounts. This is
Mhm.
something that's really interesting where now we have IBC smart contracts.
Oh,
That means that you could actually, in theory, give each community member ownership of the file, and you could like take like a percentage of NFT sales and just continue to pay the storage account, things along those lines. So it gets really creative once we get that Cosmosm ability to enable that.
mhm.
But possibilities are endless, right? It's just like a low level infrastructure layer that's very very important that we think for blockchain as a whole, and the different directions that we can go is pretty endless. It's exciting times.
Yeah, no, I agree. And chicken tacos, yes, you're absolutely correct. I do need, and we do need a terabyte for all the Menekis. Meneki, Cosmos, Meneki. I'm being dead. I don't just say things. I will lead by example. And I think other NFT communities, leads, projects, whatever you guys want to call it, if you guys have one, I just think, it's nothing crazy. Well, it's not going to But I think if everybody in the Cosmos ecosystem who has NFT projects starts leading or setting the example by reassuring their community, their NFT project with $8 a month, I mean, come on. I go and have a good cup of coffee for $8 a freaking month, a day, a day. It's good enough
Yeah,
for me to protect my community.
it's good stuff, and just right around the corner, I can send you the links off stream, but Radiant would be like the perfect product for that. It's just like
Yeah.
forever storage. I don't know how many. It depends on how many photos are in the NFT collection, but for like $28 for an NFT collection, like we're talking like a few gigs maybe here.
Yeah.
It's $28 for 200 years, so it's just
Yeah.
like
I
up
mean,
there
it's a
forever, and it
no-brainer. Yeah,
and it
it's
self-heals
a
as well.
no-brainer.
It self-heals as well.
Yeah. Anyway, just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Don't feel pressured, but feel pressured. Cosmos ecosystem NFT people. I'm judging you. If you don't follow suit, I am judging you. Um, um, what was the other one? Oh, let's talk about really quickly, because we got about 15 more minutes.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
far as everybody wants to know tokenomics,
Mhm.
all that look like? What does all that look like?
Yeah,
Give us
so
an
right now
overview.
we're actually overhauling it. So we started with the Jackal protocol where the storage providers were being incentivized as a fixed amount of block rewards like validators. That was how we started it, and we had assumptions that there would be X amount of storage providers, and obviously once you go live, the assumptions change quite a bit. So where we
Mm-hmm.
are right now is we're actually rejigging the tokenomics. Max supply isn't infinite. I know that question just came through. So right now Jackal kind of has like a hard cap. It's kind of like it's like a reverse log model almost, where it's never really going to cross 400 million tokens. So that's kind of how Jackal protocol in its current tokenomics operates.
Could you
But
explain it to Cliff Notes for Dummies? I don't know if you guys are old enough for all of that, but like, how is that never going to cross? How is it never going to reach that?
yes, so right now the way that Jackal is, it was very similar to Juno's tokenomics in the early days of the way that they actually brought down inflation.
Hmm.
So it would start with 10 tokens per block, then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So where we are right now is we realized that's not really a good option. So where we are right now is we're doing a complete economic overhaul. So this is actually really good timing for that conversation. So the way that storage providers are going to be incentivized now is instead of getting 6 tokens every single block split amongst all the storage providers relative to what percentage of storage they have on their machine relative to the entire network,
Hmm.
we're changing it up so where it's actually more of like a real yield model where if a user comes to pay $8 a month per terabyte, those $8 will be we'll add a premium on top of that to make sure that we have enough storage space for it to grow, and then that will be split amongst the storage providers relative to how much storage they have on the machine. So pretty much where we were at the beginning days, inflation was getting into a hyperinflation situation that we had to kind of control. So that has been changed since then. So right now we're only printing 4 tokens per block for storage providers, and right now storage providers are actually incentivized by the foundation.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then the new update's going to be coming soon. We wanted to give ourselves some buffer because we didn't want to force a decision either, where you kind of rush into like the next economic model, and we didn't think that was the right thing to do.
Right. No, I mean, like we were saying earlier when we first started the stream, but like what you build, you learn what's working, you learn what you need to tweak, you learn what you need to kind of revamp. And I think that's smart. I really do. And I think a lot of other protocols are also learning, like, we need to restructure tokenomics or whatnot. But good for you guys.
Yeah, it's inflation's it's a scary road to go down, but it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you need to keep your validators validating the chain.
Yeah. How do you
So
incentivize?
it's like this. It's very very interesting situation that you run into because you don't mine tokens, and it's not. It's different. It's different in proof of stake as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I love proof of stake, but there's sometimes I'm just like, yeah, no, I'll just say that I love proof of stake. I really do. It's just super interesting. It's just it
Yeah,
always keeps me on
exactly.
my toes. Every morning I get to wake up and figure something else out.
Never a
um,
dull moment. It's never a dull moment. That's for sure.
no, never, especially not in the cosmos. Okay. With that being said, we have about we're a little bit early, but we have about 12 more minutes. Is there anything that you or we may have not covered that you definitely want to touch on before we wrap it up?
No, other than I know decentralized physical infrastructure networks aren't usually as sexy as lottery protocols or things
It
along the
should be
lines of
though, right? It
it should.
absolutely should be.
Yeah. So if support decentralized physical infrastructure networks, I think um, a cache is awesome. I think there's all kinds of different storage networks out there that are also great, including us. There's Sentinel that are working on VPN technology. There's the guys that are doing there's Sonar or
Mhm.
SOAR, where they have it's in vehicles where they have data um, and metrics from your car actually going and being sold on blockchain technology. So those are all being built in the Cosmos ecosystem. I
Don't
don't think they
collect
get
my car's metrics, guys. I'm a
yeah.
fucking wild man, by the way.
Yeah, well, you get to collect it for yourself, and you can sell it back to the insurance company for a
No,
premium, I guess, for
they don't want
yours.
to see mine. I am
Yeah,
beating that freaking yellow light. That's what's happening right
yeah,
there.
yeah. But there's very very interesting technology that's happening right now in the ecosystem, and I don't think a lot of them get the respect that they deserve, and I think that they needed communities too. So if you go find your local decentralized physical infrastructure network and give them some love, that's all I have to say, really.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I don't know if you've heard. It's Joe and I and a few others. We are very, very much kind of full steam ahead now with this NFT Nashville event
Yeah,
that we're
it's super
doing.
exciting.
Absolutely love NFTs, right? We were talking a lot today about how this affects NFT projects, NFT platforms, and the like. This is going to be something that because I really do. I'm not just saying this because you're here. Like, I want to be absolutely clear. I take people on to interview, or I request to speak to people that I really find interesting and that I really find have a product market fit that is potentially beneficial for the entire ecosystem, right? And I really do honestly, genuinely think that Jackal is one of those protocols that have not just one, but many very good product market fit products or services that you guys can provide us as a whole, especially speaking as an NFT launcher and somebody that supports NFT projects and platforms and communities. And so I'm going to be probably beating it until people are sick of me saying it. But definitely, if you guys have NFT projects, consider it. It's cheap to bring value back and to protect your supporters. I think to reinvest back into them for such a cheap price and for what you get is just it's a no-brainer. So I'm going to probably be really, really banging that drum, especially leading up to, during, and especially even after. I'll probably cut this up and put out content, letting people know so I can shame them into it. Maybe I don't. I'll just shame them into it because I'm
Yes, or
judgmental
else,
too.
or else.
But yeah, that's going to be my way of doing my part. And if I can think of anything else, man, I fully support you and your team. Um, I love the fact, again, I just want to give you guys kudos that you guys have done what you need to do to continuously build, continuously evolve, and grow in our space. I know you guys, there was criticisms and stuff that you guys had to work with, but you guys have really done a tremendous job, and I really commend you and the team for that.
No, I
I'm
appreciate it.
really, really glad that you guys are where you guys are.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I honestly think we should do a post-mortem of that launch as well.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that we should have gotten out a while ago is I think new teams coming into this ecosystem, particularly where it's very much like player versus player,
Mhm.
we need
Yeah.
to there needs to be a place where those people can land and actually have understanding of the text, like the different competing standards, and everyone. You have Cosmos SDK, then you have the Ignite CLI, and then you have Osmosis fork the Cosmos SDK. They have their own SDK going on, where you're entering an ecosystem where there's all kinds of different things going on. You don't know what's secure, what's not secure,
Mhm.
what's being updated, what's not being updated. So I
You guys
think it
should
would be
just be an advisors too. You guys should have a sub
uh,
side gig where you guys could just advise people.
well, we needed a few things. We needed a lore advisor. A Cosmos lore advisor would have been great, and we needed a technical advisor to tell us what's safe and what wasn't safe at the time. But that's it's everything. Everything gets fixed at the end of the day. You just have to put your head down and build through it,
Right, right. I love it, man.
right?
Well, with that being said, man, I really appreciate your time. I definitely want to do this again here soon. Whether it's a space two with Joe and some others. Again, I kind of speaking for Joe. I love Joe to death. Him and me, we're like the old grumpy men of the cosmos. We're like two fucking boomers that we're just grumpy about everything. But we were talking about, like I said, you guys last night. Absolutely love what you guys are doing. Really, really, anything we could do to support you guys. So maybe if you upward, let's do some spaces together. Just get it out there as much as we can. Bang that drum. And I really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's a long time coming, so thanks again for bringing us on and giving us the platform. It's been awesome.
For sure, for sure. Well, man, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let everybody else go. You guys have a good day. Don't forget to go check out Jackal Protocol if you guys haven't already. Follow them on social media. It's really simple. It's just what it sounds like. Jackal Protocol. Go check them out. I'll go ahead and drop some information in the YouTube channels that if you guys are watching this later, you guys can find that. But with that being said, man, Patrick, peace. You be good.